what questions might you have? I mean, as I said, I'm a psychic that has demonstrated an ability to influence weather. For 30 years, I protected a designated area from hurricanes. I was tested by James Randi. He gave me 33 requests. I told him he could pick the weather he wanted, the place he wanted, and when he wanted it. And he said that if I got 3 out of 5 of his requests, that then he would agree that I was demonstrating a psychic ability to influence weather. Okay? And I believe I got 27 out of 33. When the first test I passed with flying colors, and he then didn't get back in touch with me.
I wonder why.
We had a little tug. Yeah, we had to have a tug of war, and to get him to come back around. And then he gave me a second test. So,
well, you know,
I did a metaphysics forum for 12 years, where I brought together people from all over the world with all perspectives from all different groups, where they would exchange their opinions. And that got me to learn a lot.
Oh, wow.
Why are you interested so much in Planet X?
The reason why I'm interested in it, because I do a talk show, and it's mainly, it has turned out, you know, I retired. I'm 66, you know, and about a year ago, a friend of mine who's no longer with us, Art Bell, you know, called me up out of the blue, and he says, "What are you still riding your Harley motorcycles?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Are you going to come up?" And I go, "No, my health won't let me. I don't, you know, because I normally go up to Reno and Las Vegas every summer." I said, "I can't do it anymore because I'm fighting a problem." And I said, I can't do it this year." And he goes, "Well, you know what? You got to get back into radio. Don't go back into broadcasting on terrestrial radio. Go into the internet radio." And he talked me into it. And, you know, I found myself back on radio after being retired and doing a talk show where now I don't have people telling me who my guest has to be. You know, I can choose my own guest, and I can run the show, you know, the way I want to, because, hey, even the advertisers, I cut my last advertiser off because they were dictating to me, you know, who I could have on my show. And I said, no way. So I pay for all the bills out of my own pocket. The reason why I was talking about Planet X, it seemed like the last 2 weeks, because of articles and people like Mary Joyce, you know, writing up articles on her bulletin board website about Planet X has gotten people, you know, talking about it again. And some people are really freaking out, and others are going, "Oh, well, I'll take it when it comes." You know, I take, like you, I have the approach is, hey, I can go out and get hit by a bus. Of course, where I'm at, there's no buses, but, you know, I could get ran over by a deer or something, I guess. But I take each day as a can.
You get carried away by a Bigfoot, so we'll put it, how's that?
Don't even mention that, because I can go into about that. A friend of mine who's a medical doctor, we were up in Canada, Canadian Rockies, back in 2002. We ran into something. Either a guy was dressed up as a Bigfoot out in the middle of the Rockies, or we ran into one. I'm not going to even get into it tonight on that. But people are...
Yeah, I believe it's possible they exist, and there's people I respect who have had personal encounters with them. So there's something there.
Well, I know
wondered if it's interdimensional portal and you're seeing Cro-Magnons or something from the past that are somehow slipping into our time.
It's possible, or it could be, you know, coming, you know, from a different time or from a different dimension. It could be, you know, influenced by aliens. It could be a lot. All I know is back in 2002.
Yeah, it could be from the center of the earth or something, too.
It could be, but you know what? I don't believe the theory of a lot of people, and I got in trouble with the Bigfoot community, especially around my area here. I don't think they're as friendly and fuzzy and warm as some of these people, you know, say they are. In my case, the thing showed aggression, where me and my friend had to run 2 miles through the woods to get back to the car, and we were being chased. And I'm going to remember that to the day I die. So, I can honestly say that. And then the other thing I get...
Well, there's a lot of fear involved with facing an unknown because you don't know how hostile it can be or how much danger it can do.
Well, especially when you're American citizen, you're not allowed to have a firearm up in Canada, and I wasn't even smart enough. Of course, I don't think bear spray would have done any good if it was a real Bigfoot, spraying it. I could say, "I'm sorry, guy," but hey, it's an experience I don't ever want to go through again. I can honestly tell you this, Walt: I have not gone camping. I have not been in the woods since that happened. It did enough damage to me emotionally that I have lost the interest. And I grew up in a family every weekend, when I was a kid, all the way I have 8 kids in my marriage.
Do you think Bigfoot could be related to what's called the 411 mystery, which is the vanishings of people from national parks?
I do think it could be tied into it because it's been too many people that have vanished in the parks. And I've actually, we've talked about that and with guests on the show extensively. It's just been too many weird things have happened where people have gone in. There's going to be a certain amount of people go into the park system, right? It's going to drop over dead with a heart attack. They're going to fall off a cliff. They're going to fall in a hole.
Well, there'd be a body or clothing or campsite, something.
Yeah, but
most of the 411s are just a total vanishing.
And then some of them, like one case where it was a little boy, it turned out at a campsite. Within a matter of a minute, his parents, taking their eye off him, he disappears. He's found about 15 miles away on a mountainside,
that sounds more like an ET abduction.
Oh, yeah. It's no way a little 5-year-old can cross all the rivers, climb up a mountain and do all that. No way. Something did that.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. I do think...
Thunderbird.
And then I get the people on
There's a lot out there. There's a lot out there, both known and unknown. We don't inhabit as much of our planet as people think we do. Most of our planet is uninhabited.
Oh, yeah.
People have this idea of like wall-to-wall, coast-to-coast, we're populated and maybe the desert's empty, right? But that's not the case. I mean, the woodlands are empty, the deserts are empty. There are vast expanses even between cities that are empty. I am from South Florida, and it is basically from southeast Florida, and it's basically becoming one continuous city from Jacksonville all the way to Key West, right? And that gives you an impression of full coverage by humanity. But you go 10 miles inland, or 15 miles now, and all of a sudden you're in an uninhabited woods again.
Yeah, that's the interesting part. And then we think we know everything that's in the ocean, but almost every week, on the news, they're saying, oh, we found this new thing that we didn't even know it existed, or it should have died off a million years ago. Here it washed ashore. I mean, it's always something new turning up, which makes you really think, that, hey, there could be Bigfoot or something similar to it or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, I believe that the new radar, which can scan into the Earth, has told us that there are oceans inside our planet that are as big as our surface oceans. So it is possible that there are caves underwater that connect some of these bodies of water, and every now and then something that lives in that environment makes it into our environment. Same thing possible with some of the bigger cave or cavern systems of our Earth that are above, well, I was going to say above ground, but are air-based rather than water-based.
Well, yeah, I also look at, this Earth has probably been rebooted a feyou times. And when I mentioned that one night a couple of weeks ago, somebody called me up afterwards and told me I was a nutcase. But you go to the Sphinx, the backside of it has wear on it they came to the conclusion, that was done from an ocean, and that puts it before, man. So that tells me that was created before humans were created. So, I do think we're on a one or number 2 reboot or number 3 reboot on this earth. And,
the standard view is this is the 5th civilization.
Yeah, and it goes so far, and then all of a sudden, poof, the earth cleanses itself. I mean, I feel bad because we abuse this planet like you wouldn't believe. I mean, if you abused a human like we abuse this earth, you'd be in prison for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so we live like locusts. There is a view that the planet is a yoke, and it is meant to nourish us, and it's like an infinite source, and we can just plunder it without regard. There are people who believe that. I believe that overpopulation is a problem, and that it is reflected in unemployment and homelessness and crime. All right?
Oh, yeah.
And that we need to balance you need to balance consumption with renewal. All right? And where I live in Virginia, they have done a good job, or at least tried to do that with the use of wood, okay? Where they plant what they remove, so that there's a cycle. But unfortunately, they have, in the past 10 years or so, they changed their cut by 5 years.
Oh, wow. Hey,
in other words, before they used to allow the trees, I think, 10 or 15 years, or 15 or 20 years, and they reduced that by 5 years. And I became aware of it because I was working with carpenters, and they started complaining that the quality of the wood was changing.
Oh, yeah.
Because it wasn't being given the time.
Yeah. Hey, our time is almost up. Hey, I do appreciate you coming on. Now, again, where can they find your book, the name of your book? And if you got how can they find you on Facebook? And if you have a website, go ahead and plug it, Walt.
All right. I have a bunch of books. The two main ones is a series called The Life of Christos, and the other one is a single book called The Thought of Christos. They're both available on Amazon. And you can find me just by searching for Walt, which is Jualt. It's like Juan, but Walt. And that's it in a nutshell. I have a Facebook site for The Life of Christos. So if you search for that, that'll take you there. And I've used the Facebook photo albums to have one that links to previous radio interviews, one that shows different newspaper articles, one with my Waltisms or wit and wisdom, quick sayings, and another one with links to where my books can be purchased.
Oh, wow. Well, hey, I want to appreciate you coming on the show tonight. And, if you'd like to come back on again in the next couple months, I'd more, happy we can go into, more discussions.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to. If I'm still alive. I'm dealing with my own health issue as well. Okay,
sorry to hear that. I mean, the older you get, it seems like...
I've had a good life. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. If I'm still around...
Yeah, that's what I say. Well, you know what I always tell people, if I get up in the morning and I know where my pants are and my car keys, I'm good to go. If I don't get up in the morning, then, hey, well, I had a good life. Hey, Walt, thank you for being on Night Dreams. I really appreciate you, being a guest on the show.
Certainly, and I'll look forward to looking at the show at your archives.
Okay, sir. You have a good evening, and thank you again.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, well, we talked a little bit about Planet X. We talked about, the super volcano in Yellowstone, what things that's going on there. It's